glorious, beautiful beings. Welcome to Notes of Nara. My name is Naja Rashida, and may this message find you well and whole and happy. Yes, so we are still in the month of November. I cannot believe how quickly November is just passing on through. Isn't time fascinating? So today we're going to discuss more about shadow work. And I wanted to address this because I was intrigued by a colleague's comment on minimalism and I guess the lifestyle. And so she has a background in psychology, and we have very interesting discussions on the human psyche. But anyway, she brought up something that I thought was quite interesting that had to do with, I guess, the, why minimalists, people who own, less than the average Joe or Jane, why they do what they do. Why do they not have furniture? Why don't they have 20, 30 pairs of different shoes? Why don't they have 20 pairs of the same jean and 50 dresses and, tons of different makeups and different shades of fingernail polish? And why don't they have a big flat screen TV? All the things, right? This person mentioned that it was a trauma response, and it had me thinking. I wasn't triggered, but it had me really thinking. I'm like, wow, where does this come from? This need to own less and not have so much. And I made a couple of videos on my take and practice of minimalism, and I've gotten this one topic, actually, I've gotten the most severe mixed reviews. On one end, people are like, oh yeah, that's what I do, that's cool. And then on the other, my gosh, I had one response telling me how lost I was. I was a lost soul, I guess, because I just don't want to own things or material, too much baggage, And so I guess, how does this tie in with shadow work? Tis the season. We are in the season of holiday. We are in, which I like to say, holiday comes from the word holy days. It literally is when things die, right? In the season of winter and the world goes quiet. The days grow short. The nights long. Everything is icy and cold. Everything retreats back into itself. And symbolically, that's manifested under the weight and pressure of patriarchal religions such as Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, and many other different faiths, right? Where it's very strict, very regulated, very rules focused. And so we have what we like to call holy days, right? Where we, all of a sudden want to celebrate and be in the frequency of gratitude and thanksgiving and, and taking care of one's, fellow man, right? Once or twice or three times a year, which I find quite ridiculous, but that's been exploited. They've completely scratched out the spiritual aspect of this very sacred time of the Gregorian calendar, of the season, and they've capitalized it, right? They have not capitalized. What am I trying to say? Well, it's become very part of the what's the word? Consumerism, capitalist, right? Capitalist society. CEOs, corporations, okay? It's all being controlled. It's very, very heavily regulated. Every time I open up this device, it says buy something, buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that. And now you have marketing and advertisement companies that are so lazy. They're using AI, and so the AI creates the commercials that saves the company thousands, millions of dollars. Okay, they don't have to hire photographers. They don't have to hire actors. They don't have to hire voiceovers. All of it's being plugged in and typed into the AI software, and boom, you have an artificial commercial, right? I mean, the toning is weird. The images are off. very glitchy, and younger generations won't have the capability of using their discernment to differentiate between what's real and what's AI. But in my generation, we do. I mean, if you're in your 30s, maybe a little, maybe like older than 35, you'll be able to pick it up very quickly, but younger people don't. They just think it's all just part of it. I grew up where advertisements, you had to sit in front of the tube of the television to pick up advertisements, or they use it in a multitude of different ways. But now it's just everywhere, right? But I wanted to get into this a little bit as far as shadow work, because how does this tie into shadow work? Consumerism. Consume, buy, consume, buy. They've tricked you into believing that you are not a real person of faith and gratitude and generosity if you don't go out and buy money. You need to go and buy money, buy money. You need to go out and buy things in order to make another person feel good, because this shows that you care about them, right? I think the best Christmas gift anyone could do at this point is paying off someone's bills, one of their bills. Kid you not. That's one of the best things. Or put gas, give someone get a little gift card, put gas money on it, and gift that as a gift. That would light up someone's Christmas, right? If you do that, right? Rather than going out and go buying a product to make that person forget the reality of their life and their struggles, and just make them forget temporarily that, oh, hey, yeah, I got this going on, but this will fulfill some temporary void in me, so I don't have to worry about the debt I can't pay off. It's a very sick system. And now that they have AI, it's unbelievable. It's wow. Just mind-boggling. But all of this has been planned for eons, well before I was born. But yes, the shadow aspect of, the season that we're in. Yes, it's a season of self-reflection. I think, if anything, people should refrain from gift giving and wait until the spring. Doesn't it make sense? Everything gets cold. The leaves die, fall off the tree. The tree isn't dead, but it's sleeping. Everything goes to sleep. Everything retracts and goes inside. It goes within. Everything quiets down. People spend less time outside. They stay indoors, sipping their hot tea, right? Or hot cocoa or whatever. And just reflecting, journaling, reading, spending time with loved ones, right? Doesn't it make sense to not go out and spend all your money on gifts that people will end up donating within 2 to 5 to 10 years anyway? Yeah, I know that sounds harsh. But, and wouldn't it make sense for us to, if you're going to give gift, like, how about wait until March 21st, right? That's the spring solstice or something, right? Or is spring equinox? Days get longer, nights get shorter. Spring happens. You have the buds on the trees. You have beautiful blossoms coming through. You have crops taking off. Wouldn't it be a time to celebrate life? Like, wouldn't that be an opportune time to give gifts to people, to celebrate life? I don't know. I mean, I have a different perspective, obviously, for everything, but with minimalism, I've always been a minimalist. I have been a minimalist since I was about 12 or 13 years old. This is coming from someone who's lived in a house with multiple generations, okay, off and on. There was a time that I had 10, 11 family members living all in my mother's home at one time. It was beautiful, but chaotic. Then there were times where it was just my mother and my sibling, or siblings, 2 siblings, or my mother and 5 kids or 4 kids, like it was where I learned how to be adaptable with less, be flexible with more, because with more you have to share, right? But yeah, I was about 12 or 13, and I remember specifically when I became more intentional about my space. And this happens with every young teenager. You become more, you develop identity, okay? Everyone goes through this phase. rich or poor, doesn't matter. You start to declare your space. You develop boundaries in your physical reality. And so I was about 12 or 13. This is the time my cousins went back to their parents, right? Because my mother took them in for a while, for a few years. And my little brother wasn't born yet. So it was just my mom, my sister, and myself. Just the three of us in this beautiful, wonderful house, all to ourselves. And my mom said, you get to have your own room. Oh my gosh, how I was overjoyed. And so I had my own room for a time. It wasn't even 6 months, I don't think. But I had it. I had my own space. And when I had my own space, I had a box spring, a mattress, and a dresser drawer, and maybe a side table. Okay. And I was hyper, what do they call it when you clean all the time? Just constantly cleaning. And then I would go on this raid of just, what can I get rid of to create more space in my space? What can I get rid of? So I would ask my mom, like, hey, can I get rid of this dresser? Okay, can I get rid of this? I want to get rid of that. Right? And I felt clean. I felt like I had space. I was intentional with all my belongings. My room was always clean. Okay? And I kept the same alarm clock. Yes, alarm clock until I think post college, like undergrad, when I moved back home. I had that thing for 8 years. So it's always been a part of the way that I conducted myself. My mom never did. My mom was more hoarding, or keeping things, right? My dad's like that too. He's more OCD. I think undiagnosed, to be quite honest with you. But he has things, but they're in order, but there's still a lot of things. For me, if I'm keeping something, it has to have purpose. There has to be some kind of purpose behind what and why I have something. If there is no purpose from what I have, a material thing, then it just begins to accumulate and accumulate and accumulate, right? And that's energy that causes stagnation. And, unfortunately, and I consider my space very minimalistic, but again, grad school, working full-time job, things get, cluttered. So I have to go through another purge for next year specifically. But yeah, I think it's not necessarily a trauma response, although it can be. It definitely can be a form of control, right? Control over your environment. Like, let's say if you're physically violated in any way, you have no control over that, right? And that's a very physical, very visceral experience. So thus you turn to your environment and you express dominance by being intentional with every little thing that you have. So I'm not going to sit here and eliminate that possibility. And no, I don't think it's a mental illness if you choose to be minimalistic. I will say that it causes you to be more aware of yourself, how you're spending money. I've gone out to eat maybe once since September. I think the second time was yesterday with my friend for a birthday celebration. And I love it. I love it. I don't know. It was post my trip to the Netherlands this summer where I just completely shifted gears, and I'm very intentional. I make all of my own meals consistently, consecutively. It's very mono diet. See, from an outsider looking into my life, it may seem boring and simple, but boring and simple creates so much space for me to do other things. And, I feel free and more liberated the less I have to own, Like, I don't keep furniture. I'm a floor hugger for life, okay? I'm a floor hugger for life. I love the floor. I meditate on the floor. I sleep on the floor. I do yoga on the floor. I eat on the floor. I'm very comfortable in this way. And this is saying, as a 36, 37-year-old woman, I have no issues with that. Now, how I live and how many minimalists live, do we have a lot of guests over our home? No. People like to be comfortable, right? They like comfort. They want to come over and chill and be able to fall asleep and take a nap on your big, luxurious couch, right? They want to watch a nice Netflix movie and chill. They don't want to have to sit and engage their back muscles and align their spine and sit properly, for an indefinite amount of time. It's just my preference, but this preference helps me. It keeps me centered, right? I don't like owning more than 5 pair of shoes if I can help it. And yes, I work in an environment where you do have to keep some level of professionalism in how you dress. And living in a cold climate right now, it can be a bit much. I mean, I have 2 winter coats. I have a raincoat. I have a couple of like long cloak sweater things. I don't even know what to call them. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. My point is, being intentional will help you identify if what you're doing is coming from a wounded place or a healed place. And given I've always been like this for over 2 decades of my life, 12, anytime I would go over someone's house and would be cluttered with stuff, I would feel overwhelmed, right? I remember one time I was nannying for a family, and they had 3 beautiful family, beautiful home, and with kids, they had so many toys. Tubs and tubs and tubs of toys. And growing up, we had a toy box. We had a toy box, and whatever didn't fit in that box, either my mom gave away or we didn't have it, but we had a toy box. But in this case, they had so many toys. It would be everywhere, and it would always be a huge cleanup. And I would just get overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed by messes, like stagnant stacks of paper, right? If you saw my desk at my job, it's like I operate better in clean spaces, or yet organized, purposeful, intentional spaces, right? It's not the end of the world if there's a mess, but if it's organized, right? And so, I don't necessarily think it's something like you're mentally unstable for living this way. I think it's kind of a cop-out, and I can see why minimalism can be very triggering for people, because it makes them question, well, I'm spending all this money on this stuff because why? Ask yourself, why do you need a big flat screen TV? Why do you need 2 or 3 of those in the house? Why do you need 3 cars? Why do you need this or that or this or that, right? And if you can have and answer that with ease and not feel any emotional attachment to that, then, of course, it's good. All is Gucci in the world, But I find that if you're feeling triggered by someone's lifestyle because they have less than you, and you're looking at them crazy, like, why are you wearing the same pair of shoes? And I will spend good money, good amount of chunk of change on high quality, strong, like good quality clothes and shoes and whatnot, because I know it's going to last me several years, and I don't have to cough up $200-300 on another pair of shoes, right? That's me. That's my logic, and that's what works for me. But yeah, I thought that this topic, minimalism, fits in with shadow work, because we're obsessed about consume, buy more, buy. It's crazy, get more, buy more. And then on the flip side, this is where it gets tricky. With minimalism, sometimes people are so restrictive. I've seen some minimalists that they wear the same shirt and pants every single day. They got 1 pair of shoes, 1 pair of undies, 1 towel, just one of everything. And I'm like, okay, that's excessive, right? that you know, and everyone has their thing, whatever floats, you know, whatever, you know, floats a boat, I guess. But it's like, don't deprive yourself from pleasure. Don't deprive yourself from enjoyment. And you know, I don't, and that's one thing I'm always like teetering, you know, back and forth with, is making sure I'm not depriving myself from what brings me joy or what could bring other people joy, you know. But I do have my boundaries set in stone. I remember one partnership I was in, turned into a nasty argument because this individual wanted a sofa. He wanted a whole sofa, and he wanted it, you know, a TV. He would always get upset about TV, and I'm like, you have your laptop, you have your screen. Why would someone want to spend $3,000 to $4,000 on getting the largest smart TV? Why? Right? And we just didn't mesh well with that, you know. And you know, I mean, I broke, and we got the couch at the time, but when it was time to move, yeah, not fun, you know. And as someone that moves around, it's like, I've never stayed in a house or in a space long enough to where I'm like, yeah, let me get furniture. Never. So I don't, it's not a necessity for me. And yeah, I'll have to sit with that a bit more, with the, you know, owning less. Like, is something wrong? Is there trauma behind that? Not necessarily, you know, not necessarily. I've seen hoarding in my life before, and that, very, very sad psychological mental state to be in, to hoard things. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of where I wanted to share that with you all. Like, to me, minimalism helps one to be more intentional with how you choose to live your life and how you choose to use your time. And you know, I don't find anything wrong with it. So I would say, as a consumer, because we're all consuming something, right? We all have to go out and buy something to sustain ourselves. As a consumer, I'm just becoming more and more intentional about how I am spending the money on myself and treating myself, making sure that purchases that I make, they're really something that I use and that I've used more than once. So I don't mind making that investment again until I outgrow it or I don't want it anymore. I don't go out and buy the newest, flashiest stuff. I try very hard. Like this, I got a new phone this summer and I lost it. I lost it on the train to Amsterdam. I lost my phone and it came back to me a few hours later. Oh, yeah. I'll put that on another video. That was something. That was a total, very surreal experience. I didn't even get upset or cry. I just joked and said, "Hey, at least somebody's rent can be paid off, right? I mean, what else can you do?" I wasn't gonna lose so much energy on a material object that can be replaced. Would it suck? Yeah, it could cost I think $1,300, including taxes and Apple Care and all that. But I needed it. I needed to get a new phone. And I had my last phone. It was a 2019. I purchased it in 2019, but it was an iPhone 6S. Yes, very old. Okay, very old. And I held on to it with my skinny bony fingers until it started to glitch, and I didn't want to go overseas with a glitchy phone because everything's more digital nowadays. I didn't even have to get cash, like euros, like cash over there, because everything's digital. But yeah, I'm extremely practical and minimalistic, and it's how I keep when it comes to shadow work, it's really good to just look at your physical reality and your relationship to it. Why do you own the things that you own? And if you don't want it anymore, find a way to sell it. Find someone who needs it. Get it out. Get it out of your space. Because I've taken on a few things that I kind of have no business holding on to anymore, and that I know I can resell or give it to somebody. And so finding the time to do that, you know, is what I'm kind of struggling with right now, because I'm trying to recover, guys. My nervous system needs to recover. I can only push myself so hard, you know, with what I'm doing right now. But yeah, I just wanted to share my inner thoughts on that, because I noticed that with people who are materialists, meaning, like, let's say your house has to have a whole theme, and so you buy I remember growing up and like going into people's bathrooms, visiting them, and they'd have like a lighthouse theme in their bathroom, and then they'd have a jungle theme in their kids' room, or then they'd have a seashore beachy feel in their living room. And it's like all the things that would spend so much money on decorating their space. Then I've seen minimalists that, good Lord, nothing at all. But also I will note that there is some kind of psychological tie to not having pictures up of your family, like not having your siblings, your parents, in frames and hanging them up on the wall. I keep most of my pictures away. I don't have my family up like that. I don't know why. And there may be a psychological explanation for that. I have my artwork up though, but I don't have my family's faces staring at me, but it says a lot. It really does. I think that says something, because people who usually have pictures of their family up at home, it's almost like a recognition of the love that's within that home, of having your kids and your family, your parents, your siblings, your grandparents up on the wall and all happy and surrounded by, like, oozing off the love that's in the home. And I wonder what that means for people who don't have family pictures up. So, yeah. I didn't mean for this to be so long. I'm gonna go, but yeah, share your thoughts and feelings about that, because I thought it was quite interesting comment when she was like, yeah, it's a trauma response. I'm like, not necessarily. I've always just like that clean, simple, look. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm here, but I know I'm not going to be here forever. That's my vibe. People get homes and they get things and they're anchored. They're so anchored into their material life. But me, I've never been that way. I've never been that way. And that came so strong. That came through so strongly when I was 12 years old. So, it's been 24 years of just having this mentality of like, material things can be replaced. I can't be replaced. My arm can't be replaced, right? My mind, my heart, what I'm here to create in the world, those are things that I'd rather put more emphasis on than decorating my home. And I will say cohabitating with people that aren't necessarily practicing the same way is very challenging. I don't think I would do that again. A lot of people have attachments to things that are truly meaningful to them, and I don't want to get in between that. I don't. I just know that I'm a firm believer in the impermanence of life, and having witnessed that a good portion of from 23 to 25, or 23 to 24, 2023, 2024, of working at hospital and seeing how quickly we leave this world, how painful, how quiet death comes, like a murmur in the night, just a whisper, and gone. And so, I don't, it just really confirmed and solidified my own personal beliefs to the material. Well, let me get this, 'cause I'll never get it again. You will. It'll come back around, right? And I think I freaked out the person that I was hanging out with when I lost my phone. I was so zen about it too. I'm like, oh gosh, that sucks. I'm like, there's $1,300 gone. And I guess we'll wait around. And we waited 6 hours or so, and they found it immediately. Like when we were, because there, like any other major city, you have to go through the little gate, and you have to check out before it opens to let you go. And I was looking for my phone, and I'm like, oh, I lost my phone. He handled it okay, and I think if he was stressed out, he would have. He was hiding it very well. Because I'm like, okay, I'm like, I'm not gonna burst into tears. I'm safe, relatively safe. I have money in the bank. I'm okay. It's just a phone. I'll be all right. And, some people aren't so lucky. And immediately went to the security guard. Security guard spoke in Dutch. He was like, psh, yeah, we got it. Psh. And they told us to go here. We got on the train. And maybe about 4 or 5 hours later, we came back to this little station in Utrecht, and they found it. Just, here you go. And I got it. I had a tiny little crack, not in the screen, but like the cover. So I knew it was mine. And I'm like, amazing. Amazing how life works when you don't attach yourself to it. When you're grabbing hold of life and you're suffocating it doesn't work in your favor. But when you let go, then you open yourself to the flow, and things just happen. And if it was mine, if it was really meant to be mine, it would come back, and it was mine. It was meant to be mine. That there was a lesson in that for not just me, but also for the other person. But no, I didn't. There were no sobs. I didn't cry. It's like sometimes when things happen in life, like it's the little things that stress me out, but really big things that people normally break down, I don't. I handle it very well. And it's the little stressors of life that really overwhelm me over time, that get under my skin. But the big stresses, like a flat tire, I've had that at least twice in my life, or locking my keys in my car, or getting locked out of somewhere, or missing a bus or something. Like, what can you do? Sometimes the things that block us or what may seem like it's not going your way, may be the very thing that could be saving your life. I know that sounds very far-fetched, but that's how life works. The very little, the things, the really big things that just like, you're supposed to meet this person, and then something just blew the whole opportunity up and you couldn't get there. What if that destination was going to completely derail you for the rest of your life and take you away from where you're truly meant to go? It's a non-detachment that I find after, that it's important. But yeah, I just want to share that with you. Minimalism is one of my practices. It's one of my medicines, and it keeps me in check. I know if I'm stressing and I'm going out and I'm just and I'm just like, and I love to what do they call it? Window shop. Just look at things and not buy anything. And it takes me forever to make purchases on things I really want to buy anyway. Especially if it's a few $100 or a few $1,000s. I'm not just gonna, let me get that. No, it's like, I like this, but I want to make sure I really want it this time, So happy holy days to you guys. Be mindful of the things that you go out and consume and buy for yourself, and also buy for other people. I would make a suggestion. If you're going to do the whole Christmas thing, like, pay off a bill for them. Pay off their electricity bill. Make a meal for someone. Make some cornbread. Deliver it to their house. Pay off their rent. Get the kids a winter coat. Things that are useful and practical. Like, now, let me get a Lamumu. Or what's that thing? My students are talking about Labubu. 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 I don't know. I don't know what that is. Is this a little weird furry thingy? I don't know. Oh, Oh my God. I know in the 90s we had our weird shit too. It was like this Fergie, the little Fergie thingies. Oh man. Gigapets, you know, the Labubu thing, that's a thing now. So don't get a Labubu. Get him a new shoe, okay? Get him some shoes. Get him boots, winter boots. Practical. That's going to take them a lot further than getting them something that's not going to be quite useful for them. That's how I look at gift giving. You know, and if you can't give anything, write cards. That'll be me. I'm writing tons of cards this year. I got a whole stack, 100 of them. I'm like, if I can write 100 cards and mail them all out to people I love and care about, you know, that's good. Kind words go far. But thank you so much for being here, guys. I really appreciate you. And I'm serious. Enjoy your holy days, however you tend to celebrate them. I don't, but, you know, every day is a holy day for me. So, yeah, right. Goodbye.